Salve, salve, maestro here. And today we are continuing our Brazilian run. In the next episode, we managed to conquer almost all of South America. We grabbed ourselves a foothold here in Africa to later invade Transvaal and Orange. And there was actually the American Civil War. And I was thinking to myself that, like, this is great, like, the US is splitting so they don't become a absolute great power. But it's not optimal because in some runs, I've seen the United States never ending slavery, never abolishing slavery. And now they already have slavery ban, so although it's great because they are split, I think it would be better if they just kept the slavery to the 1900, as I've already seen. So now we have a great economy, and we maybe just wanna chill down for a bit because our infamy is kind of high and our subjects' loyalty is kind of low. So we maybe just gonna build up our economy, waste a little bit of the money, passing some laws, and improving relations with the subject. So we just unlocked mechanical tools, and with that we unlocked steel tools, so I just put it a steel mill in the construction queue in Bahia, already to start producing tools with steel because we lack some tools in our economy, and I could actually begin using them in another production methods. But now for the next technology, I think the best option here is nationalism. And this might seem a little bit strange, like it could go for central banking, postal savings, or railways, water to boiler. But I will go for nationalism because of this decision here, the reconquest of Cisplatina, that adds a claim on Uruguay, and that's why I didn't conquer them earlier. So historically speaking, the region of Uruguay was the Portuguese colony, and after Brazil take its independence, it was a Brazilian state called Cisplatina, but due to wars against Argentina, both governments agreed to make it a puppet state. So I thought that nationalism would be a great technology to unlock a claim for Brazil, since another countries receive some nation building focus like Italy or Prussia receive for unlocking nationalism. So the gold mines in Transvaal already appeared, but I won't be attacking them for two reasons. The first one and the most important is because Great Britain will step in, so there's no way I'm winning this war. And the second is because I want to lower my infamy because of two things. Like the first, I want to invade Uruguay as soon as possible, like as soon as I get this decision done. And I don't want anyone getting involved here. Like we can actually see that Netherlands might step in and they already are interested in getting into my wars, and also because of subjects relations. So if we take a look here, Bolivia has a liberalizing plus 10 because of my infamy. And as soon as this get to 25 or below 25 or 30, I think they will lose it. So I can start to decrease their liberty desire. So we were hit by another modern event, the Alves Branco tariff. This tariff was proposed by the Minister of Finance, of course, Manuel Alves Branco, which leads to the name. And this was a tariff for imported goods for Brazil, just like how Trump is doing nowadays. And the purpose of it is because Brazil consumed a lot of imported goods, so they wanted to produce them locally. And the matter with it is, although it actually helps the national industry, it also increased the prices for consumers. So there was the kind of debate. So in the mod, it adds 140, so you can add another consumption tax. So 5 days until it, and there we go. We now have laissez-faire as our economical system, and this is the best economic system in the beginning of the game to build up your economy. And now we can continue our mission to liberalize Brazil. So probably we will be going for free trade and later for homesteading. And something that I've noticed is that we can already pass the slavery ban, but I don't think that will be the optimal because while we still have the market liberal in power of the landowners, we need to take advantage of that because the landowners will be always against the slavery ban, but not always will be okay about homesteading, will be okay about free trade. So we need to use it as an advantage. So let's start by free trade because it has a greater chance of passing. So it might be pass faster than homesteading. And now we can establish our new company, our first company, because of laissez-faire. So as I said in this mod, there is also modded companies. When I was starting developing the mod, the first one that I would grab was the where is it? Where is it? The Casa de Fundição, because it grants minting, migrant abstraction, it increases all the gold mines production. But now that companies actually own buildings, I think that maybe the best option here is the Gerdau. This is a Brazilian industry about iron and steel. And in the game, we get bonus for state construction efficiency and increase the production of goods that we use to in our construction sector. And also, like Gerdau technically can expand infinitely. And where is it? The Casa de Fundição can only expand to gold mines production. And since gold mines a money printer, I will always try to construct it as the government instead of letting the private sector constructing it. So let's establish Gerdau as our first company. And this is one of the key reasons why I've been stockpiling these gold reserves is to actually buy this company. So let's grab our first company and wait for the prosperity to go up. So another modded event, the General Duque de Caxias, or the General Duque de Caxias, and he is considered the patron of Brazilian army for his efforts to modernize and build the Brazilian army and consolidate the national unity. And finally, he is also often regarded as one of Brazil's greatest national heroes. So free trade is on their way to get in, and let's see if the law passes. And we got it. Yes, we got it. So free trade is enabled. Like we had a deficit of bureaucracy by a ton of time, but now we just solve it, and we can already go for the next one. And I was thinking about actually going for public schools now that we have bureaucracy, but still, I think we need to enjoy and use this guy here, where he is. This guy, the market liberal, that's the leader of the landowners, to pass homesteading and almost completely wiping out their power in the political spectrum. So I think it's exactly what I'm be doing. Like I can pass census voting. Total separation is kind of okay, and this I'm gonna pass later. So it's the way to go. I also could go for colonial exploitation, but it's not. It's like it's not a must go for Brazil, and I think it's just better go for homesteading. One bad thing about going laissez-faire, especially in the beginning of the game, is that if your construction sector don't build enough, you're gonna get like a huge part of your construction sector that you started building exactly because you had to split with them, and now you need to tank all the cost of it, and then you start losing a ton of money that you were just not using before. So right now it says here at negative 16K, but I had some minus 30K before, so it's something for you to notice. But still, I still think that laissez-faire is the best economic system in the beginning of the game. So now with nationalism research, we can get this decision, the reconquest of Cisplatina, which add a claim to Brazil over the province of Portugal. These here say that a lot of people can get in, but in the most time that I've seen, like these low infamy actions, normally people don't get into. And if they get into, maybe we can actually puppetize in them, since probably the European powers won't be getting in this war. Of course, an easy war against Uruguay. And you may be thinking why I think Uruguay is so important, and this is because of the mod. So is this region here, the Bacia de la Plata, probably is the most important region in all of South America. There were a ton of wars in order to conquer this place. And why it's important for Brazil? Well, we can't actually see here in the game, but if you zoom in Brazil, you're gonna notice that almost all the Brazilian rivers go from the coast to the inland. So it's not common to see big navigable river coming from the inland to the coast, like the Mississippi River or the Rhine River. So controlling these few big rivers were very special for Brazilian government. So now that we have the province of Uruguay, we can say that we control this bacia here, and all the goods from Brazil can go from the inland all the way to the sea easily. So that's this decision here, the Paraná Delta. So now that we control the delta, all of these states will receive a state rate called Paraná River. So now, like we had struggles with infrastructure in Minas Gerais, now we don't have it anymore. Like we should not have it. Maybe just need to update. And now we have the Paraná River plus 20 infrastructure. We didn't have it before because Brazil didn't have the control over the Bacia. So this is why Uruguay, I think, is very, very important. And we also can like this is kind of buggy. I don't know how to solve it, but we can make every Uruguayan to Brazilian. So it's just like a little bit of favor. Now we have another modern event, the Imperial Decree of 1847. And this is important because Brazil had a kind of parliamentaries and kind of not. So what happened is that there was a parliament, but every action of the parliament must be accepted by the emperor. So it wasn't a constitutional parliamentarism, but it wanted to seems like it's kind of like what happened in the Russian Empire previous to the Soviet Revolution, where the I don't remember the name of the emperor, but he created the Duma to give power to the parliament, but then every decision of the Duma he needed to accept was kind of like that. So it increases authority and increases legitimacy from including the head of state in government. And now I think it's gonna pop up the journal entry that I said before. And let's see how we went from it. So now we have this journal entry, and its purpose is to try to represent what the parliament in Brazil seemed like. So there were basically two parties, the Liberal Party and the Conservatives. And basically what happened is one of them wanted to abolish slavery and the other one wanted to keep it. And here it details like what gives power to each party. And like in a normal run, what you want is to give liberals the power, and now we can see if our methods were great or not. Like if it's positive, we are winning, and if it's negative, we're losing. And as you can see, it's positive. So our mission was right, like to remove all the power as possible from the landowners. And now we can see why we needed it to give a positive monthly progress here, because this will decrease even more, like a snowball effect will decrease even more the power of the landowners. And this is due to our loss to the clouds of interest group that support abolishing slavery. And if we didn't do everything that we did to change it, what we would see here is a lot of negative modifiers due to our laws and to the IG cloud that support slavery. So now we also have these two decisions here. That was basically what Peter II did, is that he decided who would be the prime minister, and he did that to balance between the two parties. So like he would put a liberal in power, for them to switch to conservative, for them to switch to liberal again. And this is in the game. So I will go for liberal prime minister to increase the political strength of intelligentsia. But here you see that the landowners will be mad of us. But if I click here, the next time that I click it, the landowners will be double mad. So each time you put a liberal in power, the landowners will be more and more disapproval. And the opposite is also correct. So this is the journal entry. I tried to make my best, and I think I've never seen this type of mechanics in other mods, so I hope it's a fun mechanic. So I was building some universities here in Minas Gerais to both give the private section a little bit of gap so they can build, because they are just not building anything at all. and because of decisions. So now we can unlock the Universidade Federal de Ouro Preto, or Federal University of Ouro Preto. This is one of the major and most important universities when it's a matter of mining. And as I said for you in the first episode, there is this wonder of Ouro Preto that was the capital of gold extraction in the Portuguese colonial empire. So I thought that it was a good idea to give this decision to build this federal university, and it would increase mine throughput. So what happened is that now that Great Britain is enrolled in this diplomatic play, I will try to take Transvaal and hope that nobody gets in at max Orange that we will probably go. I don't know if Portugal actually want to do that, so I'll try, and I have the infamy enough to grab both of the states and all of their gold, and I'm actually in need of it because my investment pool just doesn't have more money and can't just start building things. So we need that. So going the same way as the Federal University of Ouro Preto here, there are some decisions that just incentivize you to build some universities. So like Colégio Pedro II grants you plus 2% of education access. It's not too much, but just to add a little bit of flavor. And there's also the Universidade de São Paulo, or São Paulo University, that is the best university in the Southern Hemisphere and in the Portuguese slash Hispanic world. So it's the greatest in Brazil, one of the greatest in the world, and its bonuses are equal. Like if one of them grants just plus 2% of educational access, this grants plus 5% in technological research speed. So war is won, but the sad part is that the gold fields depleted. So now we need to build the gold mines in order to get the gold and the minting. And right now that I'm losing money and I need that, they just got depleted. And in no hunch, they never pop it out. So I would do this war eventually, but it was kind of useless to do that right now. And the Brazilian naval power just pop it out. Like this is a pretty fast forward. We just need to keep a big navy, and we want to complete this to get some points in the magnanimous monarch. Now we have the event Manifesto ao Mundo, or the Manifesto to the World. That was one of the first expression of left-wing thought in Brazil that came from the Praia Revolution. So they would support universal suffrage, freedom of speech, job security, separation of free powers, and something like that. And it changes the trade union's ideology, removing anti-slavery to Manifesto ao Mundo, which endorses a lot of things. And homesteading passed. Now we almost completely wiped out the landowner's power, and we will see a big boost to the rural folk. Now, finally, I think there is only one thing left to reduce all the landowners' power and completely change the country, that is abolishing slavery. There are another legislations that I want to pass, like colonial exploitation and public schools, but this is the main thing to pass, and it's the final blow on the aristocracy. Now, slavery ban is on the drafting phase, and as Brazil, we have a singular decision. Like I think Brazil is the only nation with this special decision, that is the issue of the Golden Law. So basically, the Golden Law was the last law on Brazil to try to end with slavery. Like there was a ton of laws to limit it, but the Golden Law was the final one to end with it, and it was signed in 1888. So very, very late. It was the last Western country to abolish slave. And it was signed not by the emperor itself because he was a trip or something like that. It was actually signed by his daughter, the Isabel Empress, which is yet not born in the game. And there is actually a journal entry for her. So let's finally end with the slavery in Brazil. We're gonna get a hit, a -10 interest approval for the landowners, but they are gonna be mad at us anyways. So we would just waste time waiting for it to pass the voting phase and get accepted. So issue the golden law, slavery ban. they actually get approval with us. Like, what the fuck? But okay, fine then. And now with this decision, we can actually integrate the Brazilian nation. We will be finishing our integrating the Brazilian nation because now we can integrate the Nordestinos, and now all of Brazilian nation is integrated, so we will get this bonus of prestige, simulation, and migration attraction. The migration attraction actually is not that great because we need to pass racial segregation. Like, we need to move to cultural exclusion first in order to get a lot of migrants. But I'm seeking to do that. And I was looking for the laws I can pass. And actually, I think the first thing that I will do is to move for cultural exclusion because I'm already lacking a lot of labor. Like, if you see here, there are only 10,000 or 20,000 max. And they are in provinces that don't have infrastructure, or they have the Amazon rainforest state rate, which is bad for state construction. So I need to grab as much migrants as possible. I think this is one of the best one to go. So probably we'll go cultural exclusion, then maybe total separation or public schools or something like that. We'll see. As soon as I unpause the game, all of this thing come, like there was the notification here of completing the Brazilian unification. Now we have the bonus that I said before. And we also have this event, the Golden Law, Golden Rose, which you can have plus prestige, interest group approval, or authority and radicalism. That's a very tough situation because if I grab the prestige, I already can become a great power, which will be better for like paying interest. But I also think that authority is good for putting consumption taxes or some decrease. So it's a very tough situation. I will go with authority and radicalism because I think it's just better and prestige will go away and I will get them anyways. So let's grab this. We are one nation, one people. And now, as you can see, the landowners lost a lot of their power. And I don't know why the Catholic Church just bump it up to the skies. And we need to take them down as quick as possible too. And another modern event that's the post-slavery that I try to reproduce what the governments like Brazil have or like US had, that was what we will do with all these slaves that are now free. Like, we're gonna give them some support, we are gonna give them some land. So actually, US had a plan to give a ton of land for the slaves, but as long as I remember, it turned out that they gave none or almost none. And Brazil actually didn't even care. Like, they actually gave some money to the landowners just like as a way to compensate. So to reproduce that, after you abolish slavery in Brazil, you get this modifier permanently that decreases educational access, qualifications, agriculture throughput. I think I will make it a worse modifier, but you can actually remove this modifier. So as I said, there were some plans to how we can deal with this population that was slave. And one of the most common was just give land to them. So what you can do is after you pass homesteading, you have this decision here where you can make the reforma agraria or land reform, where you would like give these slaves some land, and this will take away the modifier and actually increase migration because there were a lot of Europeans that migrate to Americas and seek to get some land. And I know this may sound strange, this debug decision here, but it's just to give the state of Mato Grosso the Paraná River state trait. Because while I was editing the video, I noticed that for some reason I just didn't included it into the decision, and it should be. So I just created a quick decision just to fix it. So as I was talking about the Brazilian Empress, now her event popped up. And of course, we're gonna give the front for her. I am just a little bit worried about this -6 interest group because they are going towards -20, and by -20 they get a revolution, and we can get a revolution that go up to 50% progress. But I think it's fine. Let's give the front for her. Cultural exclusion pass, I will probably get a lot of immigrants. So I was looking here, and it seems like with this legislation of cultural exclusion and migration control, we already can receive all the European pops. They are basically the one who will migrate most of the time for your country. So because of that, we don't need to go from freedom of choice to total separation in order to receive more migrants. We will do, especially to remove this plus 15% of Catholic Church political strength, but not now. What I'm gonna do is go for public schools. So the land law of 1850 was a law created in Brazil to legislate over land. What it did was basically every piece of land needed to be acquired by money. And it might sound correct from the modern point of view, but at the time, most of governments, especially in America, would just give the land in order to make land reform or attract immigrants. So what Brazil did was actually the opposite. So they make it that you needed money to buy the land in order to keep you working for the landowners. So now we can keep the historical path or we can make land a right. And this is very important decision right now because the other gameplays that I had, I didn't have the situation where the landowners had a negative 20 in disapproval, but I will stick to land is a right and hope that they don't get a revolution. And if they get that, they don't have enough power for it to reach 50%. And now just to show how the parliament journal entry will go along as the game goes on, now I can switch the prime minister again. And if I select a liberal again, like it's the third time, I think, the landowners will get more mad, the armed force, the petit bourgeoisie. So what will I do is actually select a conservative prime minister in order to calm down the landowners. So it will give them political strength, but I think it's fine. And I don't need the political strength for the intelligentsia because public schools might pass very, very easy. So, in order to balance the political game, let's select a conservative prime minister. Public schools pass, now we can increase our education access and assimilation in our country. I was actually already building some universities to speed up research, but this is very good because now we can, as always, like all this campaign was basically let's pass new legislation, let's pass new legislation, and we can focus. Like, I am not having a lot of migration, like, I haven't seen at least, like, if you see here, they are only local, like people going from state to state. So I think that maybe I can pass freedom of choice to total separation in order to see if it starts working. But I will take a look here and decide on which I will go. Like, I would love to get some colonial exploitation, but I lack the bureaucracy of it. But I will take a look at that. And for now, that's all. In this episode, we completely vanished the landowner's power. We passed important legislation, continue to increase our economy. We turn into a great power, and we are in the way of progress. I hope you liked the episode. Like, subscribe, and comment, and see you next time.